Hi guys, Blake here today with Lilley's Landing Resort and Marina on beautiful upper Lake Taneycomo. It is Sunday the 29th, I think, 6:55 p.m. and I'm going to do the one cast for you today. So today I boated up here. I'm going to start right here in Andy Williams' eddy. I'm going to be throwing a 16th ounce sculpin and ginger jig with a sculpin head on 2-pound line. Kind of a little bit of change of events here on the lake. So they ran water all of last night and they ran water all today. So far, since I got to work at least, today they've been running about 1 to 1.5 units all day long. I don't know if they're intending to keep running it tonight. That would be neat. A little change. But anyway, so lots of oxygen in the water. That's what Phil told me when he tested it earlier. So that's good, and I imagine our water temperature is probably in the 52-degree range right now. No fish on the first cast. So a little bit different. It was a little cooler today. We had some rainstorms move in, probably blowing over from the hurricane. And that might have something to do with why they're running water. I really have no idea. But regardless, they've had about the same flow on all day. They ran it all night. Fish should be starting to get used to having the flow in water here. And I'm pretty stoked about throwing a jig tonight, hoping that this constant flow of water gets them feeling a little jiggy. Oh, I just talked to Captain Doty at the dock. He had a trip this morning. He said they started off throwing jigs. He said the early morning jig bite was good up by the dam. He said they also threw his version of a micro jig and midges under a float and caught fish on both of those things as well. I was hoping that with this constant water running that maybe some fish had kind of piled in behind in this eddy. Maybe I'd pull one out on the first cast, but that does not look like it was the case. So with the water running the way it is right now, that nice 1.5 unit flow, it almost looks like they might be slowing it down a touch. It was running at 1.5 units earlier. The 16th ounce jig is a good way to go. Phil just texted me a second ago, right before I started the video, and said he was fishing the bank right above our dock, right above the resort, and said he had caught 7 fish on a black 1/32 ounce jig. That water moves fairly slow over there, even with a unit running, so 1/32 would be just about perfect for that water. And said he was doing pretty well. Probably should have did the video down there, but I didn't see his text message until I got up here. Oh, that was a bite. I think I'm actually going to turn around and just go ahead and fish the middle of the lake here. Fish a little deeper water. And I'll fish a 16th ounce jig on, especially on 2-pound line, all the way into the heavier side of the 2 units. Once it gets up to 3 and more, I switch to the 3/32 or even the 1/8, depending on how strong the wind is blowing. But it has been quite a while. Oh, that was a fish following. Get it. Nope. It has been a while since I really got to fish jigs. I've tried it many times when they've been doing this water off and then full blast thing, and it just, in the last month and a half to 2 months, it just hasn't been the most effective thing to do. But if they start running some more constant water, I think the jigs will come back into play pretty heavy. Right now I feel like my jig is maybe even sinking a little quicker than I'd like for it to. So something I'm doing is reeling in a little bit of my slack, keeping a little more tension in the line, which is keeping that jig from falling quite as fast as it would if I just left a big slack spot in the line, which, you know, sometimes I do that. Sometimes that gets the jig to turn around and sink back down faster after I flick it or jig it. And sometimes it's that quick falling motion that they like. But sometimes if it falls too fast, I gotta just manipulate it a little bit or change the size of the jig. But I think a 1/32 ounce, at least in this part of the lake, would be a little too light for that current. Oh, let's see. Night crawlers have been working off the dock today. Everybody I talked to who caught a fish on the dock was throwing night crawlers. Oh. Even starting to think that maybe a 3/32 ounce jig got mixed into my 16th ounce bucket here. Black is a great summertime color out here on the jig side of things. I might even switch to one here if I got one. Let's see what other colors I got. Let's see here. Black and olive is another great color, which I wish I had some of right now. Okay, well, looks like we're gonna go with straight black. Sometimes whenever you have conditions that are not as visible, kind of like right now, we got cloud cover, got real thick fog, sometimes the darker silhouetted baits, dang it, actually do better. And I know the common thought would be, well, if it's dark outside, use something light. Well, when it comes to the way fish see things, the silhouettes that colors give off, whenever there's less visible, sometimes the darker silhouettes actually work better in low light conditions. If I can figure out how to tie a knot, we might get to find out. Okay, there we go. Alright, all black jig now. Golf ball. Ooh, that felt like a fish. Talked to a guy when I was coming up through the Narrows that said he had just lost a really big fish right above the Narrows, drifting a scud on his fly rod. And I am seeing a few fish here in the water. Looks like they're turning over and eating scuds out of the rocks. This is definitely a good flow for fishing a scud under an indicator. Hey, there's a fish on the black jig. We've officially made it right to where the flat starts at the golf course. So this big area here is all flat, and then there's a drop off as it goes towards the channel over there. This is probably one of my favorite spots on the lake to drift down and fish. But I do, whenever the water's kind of running like this, I like to keep my boat over here in the shallow water, let it drift, throw the jig out towards that channel. Oh, right as soon as I stood up. Okay, we don't get to see that one. Camera shy. I must not have had him hooked very good, I know that. If I'd had more time this evening, I think I would have went up to the dam. It's been quite a while since I took a boat up to the dam to fish. But usually by the time I get off work in the evening, they're already shutting the water off. I think I'm gonna need to trim the big motor up a little bit here. I would go on a limb here and say that they have started slowing the water down. I don't know if that means they're turning it off for the night or if they're just gonna slow it, but water's a little shallower than when I came through here 15 minutes ago. So when I cast my jig out there, I always try to have a general idea of the depth that I'm casting to. I know that over there where I'm casting at, this is probably, there's another fish, probably about 7 to 8 foot deep, and a 16th ounce jig, this kind of flow, probably drops close to a foot a second, so I usually wait about 5 to 6 or 7 seconds in that kind of depth, and then I start jigging, and then I usually give it at least 2 seconds to pause to let it kind of sink back down in between each jig and between each motion. Oh, come on, buddy. They definitely have some oxygen. Oh my gosh. Calm down. There we go. Little rainbow. Alright. You know, I really contemplated between starting right where I'm at right now and drifting down to the Narrows, or starting in Andy Williams' eddy hoping for some fish to be stacked up there. Looks like I should have just started about right here. Some other summertime jig colors, like I said, black and olive tends to be a pretty good one. That's what I would have went with if I had one in my box in the right size. Black and brown. Oh, that was a fish. All brown, black and yellow, black and chartreuse. And of course, sculpin and peach and sculpin and ginger tend to always be a good one to go to. I can hear Dwayne coming. Ooh, that's a decent fish there. Ooh, yeah. A little bigger. Come on over to the net. Calm down, buddy. Oh yeah, that one's a little healthier. They're all kinds of riled up right now. That oxygen has got them pumped up. There he is. Ooh. Had a couple reports about the night bite last night. Was not very good. Oh, there's another fish. They actually started shutting the water down last night, and then they cranked it back up to 3 units and left it that way for a while. And, definitely messed with the fish. This one is getting airborne. Oh, come on, buddy. Hey, now. There's a big horsefly or bumblebee trying to attack me right now. Okay. Well, I'd have to say black was the right switch. So thank Phil for that one. Another healthy fat rainbow. If you don't or aren't familiar with the lake, well, the best way to know where the bottom is to let your jig sink until you can tell that it's touching the bottom and the line's getting pulled back that way. Then you can just count the amount of time between the next cast for it to hit the bottom again, and then you'll kind of have an idea how long you need to let it sink for. Really, I try to keep that jig right off the bottom. Just right before I think it's gonna hit the bottom again, I try to jig it up one more again, and just keep it working just like this right above the bottom. Ooh, that was a hit. A lot of the time you can feel them, but sometimes you can just see your line jump or get a bunch of slack in it really fast. That kind of indicates that something has grabbed hold of it. Ooh, that was a good bite. This little jig don't have a whole lot of feathers left on it. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that that first jig I started off with, even though I thought it was a 16th, was a 1/32nd, because this one is a 16th and it is sinking just the right speed, not having to tighten the line up at all. Say a couple more casts and we're going to call it a day. We're getting close to the front of the Narrows here. I don't think my jig can afford to lose many more feathers either. Oh, that was definitely a hit. Alright, well, I will have to say that this is probably one of the best jig bites I've been out for in the last 2 months. Oh, he nailed that. Okay, last cast, here it is, right above the narrows. Oh. Well, this part of the lake starts shallowing up. Don't need to let it sink as long. Don't need to put quite as much of a pause in between the jigs. You can kind of keep it working a little more steady, and there's a fish right there. Nope, and he popped off. Alright, we thank you guys for watching tonight. Like and share us on Facebook, and we'll get out here and do it for you again tomorrow. Thanks, guys.